Happening now, Newsroom Africa, Channel 405, your news feed late night. The Office of the Public Protector has announced that it will mediate in the 2-month-long dispute between members of the arts sector and the National Arts Council and the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. Artists have been staging a sit-in at the National Arts Council offices, alleging, among other things, that the disbursement of the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program funds is fraught with governance failures, lack of transparency. And for more on this, I'm joined by the Public Protector, Advocate Busisiwe Mkhobane. Advocate, good evening and thank you for your time tonight here on the Newsfeed Late Night. First and foremost, what triggered the intervention? Is this something that the Public Protector Office decided to take up itself, or was a complaint brought to the Public Protector?
Good evening, Tabo. Good evening to the viewers of Newsroom Africa. The complaint actually was lodged by the artists themselves, or they call themselves Abahlali Base NAC, led by one singer, Umgoma. And I must indicate that at first, as an office, we raised our concerns with the minister because there was a report which was issued last year investigating maladministration and impropriety within NAC. So when we saw that the minister was going to still investigate and appoint a forensic company, then I then requested a meeting so that we can take him through the report and find out why the report is not implemented, because it was never interdicted, though the NAC Council members took it on judicial review, the ones who have been removed. So, and I said the report is still valid, it should be implemented.
Now, of course, the mandate of the Public Protector being to investigate, rectify, and to redress any improper or procedural conduct as far as state affairs is concerned, is what is kicking in here. So, firstly, what will you be investigating and what will you be seeking to find?
Currently, we have met with the minister and the council, and we wanted to hear their side of the story of what is happening, why are they not assisting the complainants. And last week, Thursday, and then on Friday, we met with the representatives of the complainants, and their complaints relate to this PESP, the presidential stimulus package, or employment package, which was going to help them, especially during the challenges which they faced during lockdown. So what they wanted to know, because they were staging a sit-in there at the offices of NAC, is whether there's any monies who has been paid, how much has been paid, and the projects which, or the companies which have been paid. Because they also wanted to know, apparently there's a full list of 1,300 PESP recipients. So they wanted to know who has been paid. So there's that argument between the two, because we also heard from the chairperson of NAC that they've shared the information in their webpage or on their Facebook page. But then as an institution, we would want to make sure that we bring the parties together and there's full transparency from the NAC so that they can take, avail the list and who has been paid, how much, and which companies and which projects benefited. So that's our responsibility. So we will be arranging a meeting very soon to bring the parties together.
Yeah. Have there been any submissions made to you so far by the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture? Because I think one of the responses from the minister, if I'm not mistaken, is that there's no money that was stolen, but there was over allocation. I think it's an explanation that he is giving to the artists at this particular point. Is that an explanation that has been given to you as well?
Yes, the minister has indicated that that was the issue when they had to conduct an audit or, calculating the monies or the applications versus the monies they had. That's an explanation which we were given. But then for now, remember, we will have to also then receive all the documentations and assess ourselves as the public protector and investigate ourselves whether that is the case. And before we can then indicate that there's no monies which were misappropriated. So currently, I would say, yes, we've had the side of the department and we had the side of the complainants. But then as a public protector, we will then conduct our own investigation and assess the information or the evidence before us before we can say, indeed, there was no misappropriation of funds.
Yeah. What can the public protector do in this particular case? Because maybe an artist is sitting and saying, okay, the public protector is intervening. What is the expectation from the artist, and what is it exactly that the public protector can do for the artist at this time?
We discussed with the artist that we will try to make sure that we expedite the alternative dispute resolution process, especially the conciliation part, because we would want to bring the parties together. We would want to make sure that we get that list, who has been paid, those whose applications have been approved. They must sign the contract so that they can be paid, so that we can fast track the process and eliminate the undue delay. So that's the first part which we said or we promised them. And then the second part is the investigations which we will be conducting, whether there was any maladministration, misappropriation of funds, which will take longer. But then what we would want to do immediately, and I've delegated that to the Deputy Public Protector, is that we have a meeting with them, with all the parties. The department must be, and the council must bring all the information before us, and so that there's that transparency, and whoever should be paid must be paid. Whoever must be, whose contract has not been signed as yet, they must sign a contract. Those who have been rejected, they must be given full reasons, because I mean the Constitution and the issue of Promotion of Administrative Justice Act does require that any negative decision which is given to a person, there must be reasons why the department or whoever took the decision reached that particular decision. So for us, we would want to have a parallel process where we expedite, or I will call quick wins, where we will expedite and bring the parties together so that they can communicate and the payments and all those, whilst investigating the long-term process, and as well check what the department is doing and NAC doing to implement our report which we've issued. And further, they said they will also work with SIU in this particular matter to check whether what information we would need or what cooperation or collaboration we will have with the SIU in this matter.
So the parallel process, the dispute resolution session that you are planning to tackle, is this as a result of the artists giving you an undertaking that if you follow that particular process, then they will cease their sit-in at the NAC?
You know, I think they gave us 8 questions, which questions they were saying if those issues can be addressed, then they are amenable to resolve this matter, and surely some of them would be paid, some of them will sign contracts, some of them, you know, that's the remedy they would want to get actually. And then the long-term one is to make sure that going forward there are proper policies and compliance to policies, and even the council which has recently been appointed also, there's no conflict of interest, which is a long-term process which we will investigate. But then I think once we resolve those quick wins, I think they will be amenable for them to stop the sit-in.
Well, they've been calling, for example, the dissolution of that council. Is that part of the 8 questions that they want answered, or at least the 8 demands that they're putting forward?
Now, some of the questions which they gave to us is that the stream 1, I think in the PESP there was a stream 1, whether it has been completed, who has been paid, how much, and then stream 2, they wanted to get a full list, who have been contracted, and the amounts which have been paid, and those which have not been announced, and they wanted a full list of the 1,300 PESP recipients, and when are the payments being finalized for all those who have signed contracts, when are the payments and contracts being finalized. So it relates to contracts, to payments, and when are those who have been rejected will be notified and being given the reasons. So this is what we got from the artist. And also there was a concern about the issue of the conflict of interest, which is there, which we will be investigating. That one is a part of the investigation, which will be long-term.
Expand a little bit on that conflict of interest. What is the issue on the conflict of interest?
The conflict of interest is that some of the council members received a payment from NAC, this PESP.
And so they were council members and they still received payment from the same council.
Yes, that's what they are saying. And they are saying they received payment after they've been appointed, whereas the department is saying they were paid before they were appointed, and they have a legal opinion from the state law advisors which said there's no conflict of interest. But then that's where then the public protector will come in, get all the evidence, when were they paid, how much, what companies, when were they appointed, and then we will have to check what happened, what should have happened, whether there was compliance to the relevant laws and the prescripts, and then what gaps are there. If no gaps, what then needs to happen. So that's our role as the public protector.
So in the 2 meetings, you said you raised concerns about your 2020 June report investigating issues of governance there at the NAC. I mean, what did your report say? Are you saying the report found that there was complete failure of governance at that time?
Definitely there was. In fact, there is one policy, Thabo, which is a concern, and that policy is open to abuse by the employees of NAC, because this policy was used by the CEO then to apply for funding for a company called South African Roadies Association. The complainant was Mr. Nyatela. So in that instance, Mr. Nyatela applied for a grant for a certain project, which was rejected. So the CEO took that application to apply for another funding. So that policy, the way it's crafted, it allows the staff of the NAC and in fact, the staff and even members of the council to just lodge or to approve the funding for policies or for in fact funding projects
that have expired.
Yes, which has expired, and I mean that policy is open to serious abuse. So our recommendation was that this policy must be amended. It should comply to the Constitution, to PFMA. It's called Expired Projects and Surplus Policy. So this policy is very much open to abuse, and that's the one which we said the Minister of Arts and Culture must take note of the report and the findings and the remedial action, and as the executive authority, and then the council and especially the chairperson of the board was guided then to make sure that they act in accordance with their fiduciary duty to ensure that inconsistencies identified in this policy are addressed, and make sure that the policy complies to the Constitution, to the PFMA, and also, where necessary, put in place standard operating procedures to cure such inconsistencies, because the problem is that even a member of the board of the council, the staff member of the council can just apply for funding of projects. And that was also promoting maladministration, promoting nepotism. And I think, as we know, that where maladministration, that's a fertile ground for corruption.
Public Protector, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane intervening in the matter of the NAC, the National Arts Council, with a dispute resolution session that is set to sit in the next couple of days.